everyone. I'm Justine with State of Grace Tarot. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I am doing a general reading for the week ahead for April 21st through the 27th, so Monday through Sunday. And I was really feeling called to work with a little bit of earthy energy. And one of the decks that I find that has a lot of earth energy is this White Newman deck. And it just, to me, it feels really connected to the earth, but also to spirit. And, you know, there's a groundedness, but it just kind of helps me feel, you know, more connected to the universe. I feel like a lot of the people in the cards are connected to the animals in the cards as well. So that's why I'm going with the White Newman today. But to start off, I was wanting to kind of see what energies we have coming for us. Maybe get a theme for today's reading from the elemental impact. So let's see what we're reading on and what energies we need to work through this week. We have divine timing, trust the universe, follow the flow, patience, signs. I think, you know, this is an interesting card, you know, waiting for the right moment or being on the lookout, maybe not waiting so much, but having patience and having awareness that you'll know when the time is right to take an action. So maybe there's something we've been waiting for this week that we need to take action on, and this is a good sign for that. Put that over there. All right, so let me shuffle this deck up. One thing that I do not like about this deck, I love the artwork and everything, but it's pretty hard for me to shuffle, and I don't typically have problems shuffling decks, and hopefully it's not going to be too, oh, there we go, too much of an issue. All right, so we have the Devil popped out. We're dealing with some temptations. Maybe some cycles that we're trapped in that we need to work through. Something we're feeling trapped with. All right, so we have our overall energy, the Devil. We need to know the Chariot. Need to do Five of Pentacles. We need to release the Two of Cups. What we need to contemplate, the Queen of Swords. And at the bottom, we have the Page of Swords. I don't know if you can see her. Pull her down. So in dealing with this overall energy, this drag that we're feeling, maybe, you know, there's things that we're feeling trapped and beholden to. One of the things we need to know is the Chariot, that things are going to keep marching on. Time marches on, and, you know, with or without us. And, you know, the Chariot asks us to kind of dig a little bit deeper and embody the Chariot. It's about grit and determination. So in dealing with the Devil, maybe we need to dig a little bit deeper and find that Chariot energy within us of putting into place some structure and some boundaries, and, you know, relying on discipline rather than willpower. What we need to do, we have the Five of Pentacles, the Five of Earth, which, this typically is a card about hardship. We see this woman laying out in the snow like she's just given up on life, and these pentacles are floating around her. She's, not seeing the connection. Dealing with the devil, sometimes you feel like you're drowning and you feel like you can't keep moving forward, and it becomes harder and harder. But to me, this is saying what we need to do is, yes, it's going to be hard. Recognize that hardship, but trust in the universe. Look ahead to the Six of Pentacles and, the people there who can help you. To me, she was also, kind of looking over here to the Queen of Swords a bit. So maybe there's someone in your life that can help you cut through and see clearly and provide some clarity for you. Someone who can give you guidance, who's empathetic, but also, very intellectual. So if there's someone in your life like that, maybe they can help you come up with some discipline and boundaries to help you deal with the temptations or the harmful cycles in your life right now. What we need to release, we have the Two of Cups, and this is a card about connection. So maybe we're dealing with a connection that's finding us, or a connection that's not helping us, that's challenging us, and we feel trapped in that connection. There's someone in our lives that we need to let go of, and this is our message, and this is the time, the time of Taurus, where we need to connect back to the earth and the day-to-day rather than on a connection that's not serving us, that's making us feel trapped. This could also be maybe a connection that's about reciprocity that doesn't feel balanced, and we need to let go. It's a give and take. Not everything is going to be balanced, but maybe there's a connection that you feel like you're giving everything and they're not giving anything back to you. And we need to release that energy and release that hold that it has on us. And what we need to contemplate, we have our Queen of Swords. She's perceptive, maybe a little bit judgmental. Maybe we need that energy in our life. Maybe there's something that we know in our heart of hearts that we perceive it, but we're not following through and taking action on that. And we need to contemplate why. Maybe we see how we need to deal with the devil in our lives, and we're not necessarily taking action. We're wallowing a little bit in the Five of Pentacles, wallowing in that hardship and that despair. So we need to contemplate why it is that we're ignoring our knowledge. We see things clearly. We see the path. Why are we not going down it? And how can we make sure that we're taking action? underlying energy, the shadow energy. We have the Page of Swords. She's inquisitive, always questioning, maybe even a little bit intrusive. So maybe there's questions that we need to ask ourselves. Maybe we're willfully ignoring our perceptions because we're not asking questions enough. Interesting. We have Page of Swords, Queen of Wands, Eight of Swords, feeling trapped. A lot of Queen energy going on. Have the confidence and to ask the questions. I'm going to pull maybe a few more oracle. This is the Mystical Journey Oracle. See what other messages or things that need to come through. We have manifestation, divine being, redemption. Yeah, I think we need to remember that, the universe has our back. We have divine timing. Things may be tough, but as long as we change our patterns, fall into the discipline, let ourselves see things clearly, know the universe has our back, we can make it through this hard time. We are divine beings. We're connected to the universe. We can make this happen. We don't necessarily, need redemption. It may feel like redemption as we release ourselves from the devil, but we're never needing to be redeemed. But it feels like a freedom when we connect to our higher selves. The devil, those temptations, these earthly temptations, this bondage keeps us from being able to connect to our higher selves as easily. And if we're struggling with something, it feels like this is the week to really dig deep and work through that. Divine timing. We're being called to trust the universe, follow the flow, and really work to free ourselves. I think that's about all I have. I was going through my decks this week and I saw my affirmation deck, and this thing is terrible to shuffle, but I was like, that would be fun to take an affirmation for the week. So let's see what affirmation we can carry with us for the week. The qualities I dislike or others are disowned parts of my shadow. Yeah, so I think, this reading was kind of talking about, to me, stepping into some shadow work, like that this is the week probably to really look at our shadows and see places that we need to integrate it. Maybe this Two of Cups is releasing whatever is holding us back and further integrating that to ourselves. The shadow is the part of us that we don't necessarily see, that we don't like. And working with the shadow is a way to, reintegrate and become more whole and become closer to our divine self. So I do think that that's interesting that came through. This one also came out. I don't dance around the perimeter of the person I want to be. I step in fully and completely, which also kind of talks to integrating that shadow, seeing the parts of us that we don't really like and fully integrating that into ourselves until, maybe the devil doesn't become the devil, but more of a friend that we recognize. I see you, I recognize you. You don't have a hold over me. So, seems like we have some work to do this week. That's for sure. I think that's all I have for now. I hope you enjoyed this reading. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again soon.